Welcome back. I'm Matt from Mayernik Kitchen. Just want to give you an update. It's been 7 weeks since we started growing here. It's actually the third week in March, and we're off to a really good start. We've done 4 succession seedings. Each one's a little over 1,000 plants, so we've started over 4,000 plants. We're actually at the point where we're starting to do transplants. So what does that mean? Basically, as you might have seen before, we start in the smaller 6-packs, and then what we will do is take those and transplant them into larger red cups, the 3.5-inch pots. What this does is it gives the plant the ability to grow more, grow stronger roots, and also allows us to harden off in the greenhouse. So we don't have a heated greenhouse here. It's actually, today is going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be the last cold day. It's going to drop down to the upper 20s tonight here in northern New Jersey, but I think after this, it looks like the lows are going to be in the upper 30s, and then next week, the lows are going to be in the 40s, which is going to be amazing for us to finally get our stuff out into the greenhouse. I don't know if you saw last week, we kind of got in the greenhouse, we did a lot of cleanup, got through a lot of stuff that we had overwintering last year and kind of separated out what didn't make it. You know, it's funny how quickly things go. You know, we've been doing seeds for 7 weeks now, and now we're already transplanted. I'll show you in a little bit. We transplanted over, I guess, 8 trays worth, so maybe a little over 200 plants into larger cups. And then I think we're going to let them go about a day or two, and then those are going to go into the other greenhouse. So as you can see, we are fully stocked behind me. 32 trays here. In the other room, same thing. We're totally stocked up. All the trays are going. Lights on everything. Heat mats on everything here. No heat mats up here, but basically this is kind of our growing system, and it takes us about 6 weeks to get to the point from seed into transplant, depending on the plant, right? Some plants are going to go a little bit longer, but for the most part, it's about 6 weeks. So all right, so let's show some progress to see how things have been going. So let's pull off this tray right here. Look at this tray. So this was started 3 weeks ago. This is holy basil, also known as tulsi. This is amazing. You know, we save our seeds every single year for tulsi, and it smells great. We grow quite a bit of it. It's such an amazing plant, whether it's tincture or tea or a hydrosol. A lot of great properties and a lot of things you could do with tulsi. So we usually go heavy sowing on these seeds because, number one, there are seeds, so we don't know what the germination rate's going to be. But as you can see, germination rate is amazing. So what we'll end up doing is letting these go maybe another week, and then we'll actually start doing transplants on these. So how the transplant process works is, you know, in each one of these packs that we have here, you know, basically we have a 6-pack. So this 6-pack will give us the ability to grow at least 6. As you can see, like literally out of 72 possible plants in here, we're probably growing close to 150. So what we'll end up doing is move them into these red cups. These red cups are 3.5-inch pots, and by doing this, we'll fill this up with dirt. We'll then take each one of these out from the bottom up. Remember, never pull the plants by the head. And then we'll either separate them to divide them into 2 or maybe even 3, depending on how big of a process that is, depending on how many plants are still living in that pot. But for the most part, I mean, this is looking great. This is exactly what we're shooting for. Let's take a look at a couple other ones. Here we go. We got another tray right here. So this is valerian and echinacea. So you can see here, all the valerian looks good. You know, it's funny. We started off with bad germination on the first set of seeds we had with valerian. We ended up getting seeds from a second supplier, and clearly it's working out a lot well. I know we've done a couple more batches of this, but this is great for only 3 weeks in. Echinacea, you know, for me personally, I always wait a little bit longer for echinacea. I always find it to be troublesome to germinate in February, but look at this. March hit and we did nice heavy sowing on this, and look, 36 starts, at least 36 plants there. So that's positive. That's exactly what we're looking for. So these will probably go another 2 weeks before we get into the transplant side, but as you can see, growth is growing really, really well on these. Let's pull another one off here. All right, so what do we have here? So we have skullcap over here, which is looking great. Over here, anissa's up. It's funny, right? You're not always going to be successful at everything you grow, and it happens, right? You know, we started with seeds that were ours, and they didn't work out. These are ones we actually did that were ours again. We saved from last year, and went super duper heavy on them. Ended up buying some commercial anissa's seeds, and those are growing well. We're going to give these one more week. We ended up resowing these just to see if we can get anything more out of them. So we'll give it one more week. If there's no growth here, cut our losses and move on. As we get later into the season, now that it's March 20th, we're past that March 15th for us. We're 8 weeks now, 7 weeks out from that last frost date in New Jersey. So things start to move a little bit quicker, right? When you start to grow a lot of these plants, what you're going to notice is that once you pass March, if you're not getting germination rate within 2 weeks, probably not going to work out. For example, let me pull up some calendula, right? Calendula, pot marigold. We started growing some of these, and this is literally 1 week, basically 1 week. Look at this growth. So if you've never grown calendula, it's a really easy thing to grow. Basically, they have these little seeds that come from the flowers at the end of the season. So throughout the season, if you let the flowers, you don't harvest the flowers, you let them dry out, they're gonna have these little spiny, circular, half moon, crescent shaped seeds. You can save those out, throw them into a brown paper bag, come the next season, ready to plant. So anytime we're doing calendula, we're going to go super heavy on them because, again, they're seeds we saved from the prior year. We're not really sure how the germination rate's going to be on them, but what we want to do is make sure that we can definitely get some germination from them. So again, look at this tray for 1 week. Calendula is right here. Over here, we have some yarrow, which is looking very good. And then over here, we have some self-heal, which is just starting to germinate. So what you're going to notice, the later you start, most likely the quicker some of these things are going to start to germinate. And honestly, the reason being is they're waking up. They're realizing like, hey, in Mother Nature, I would be waking up this time anyway, so we're not really tricking them anymore. We're just giving them ideal situations to prosper. That's what I like to call it. Let's see if we can pull out one more here. All right, another tray here. So this is 3 weeks old also. So we got a lot growing in here, right? We have some marjoram here. If you're not familiar with sweet marjoram, it's a nice culinary herb. Over here, some St. John's is doing good. We've had a lot of St. John's that's been growing both 2 weeks, 3 weeks now, 7 weeks, and it's germinating really, really well. It's going to be a good growth for the St. John's this year. So here's some of the anise hyssop we did. This was actually the commercially bought anise hyssop, as well as some peppermint. So overall, seeds are looking pretty good. So what's next for us here? So basically, we've done 8 different seeds growing of starting with plants at this point. So I actually just did some more seeds today to kind of fill in some of those gaps of things that we kind of lost out on. What we're also doing is getting into the transplantation mode, right? Getting things out as soon as possible. So I'm really hoping by Monday, we're gonna start moving things out to the greenhouse. And then this process here from going from, here to here to the other room, it's gonna happen so much quicker. I feel like I'm gonna wake up in a couple days, greenhouse is gonna be packed up, and we're already moving into the second greenhouse. But overall, things are moving along very, very well here. What I wanna do is I wanna show you some of the stuff that we transplanted, just to give you an idea of how things have escalated over the last couple weeks. So what you see here, these are either 5 or 7 weeks old. Right here we have clary sage, marshmallow. In the back we have some St. John's, some ashwagandha starting to pop up, spearmint as well. Things are really starting to take off. And again, 5 to 7 weeks old for a lot of these plants. Coming down here, what do we have? Some thyme's looking really good. In the back there, if you can see, the shiso's looking really good as well. Moving over here, what do we have? We got some anise hyssop, some catnip. Here's some comfrey. So let me show you this. You see how we already have some bad leaves on some of these comfrey plants? This means that they're angry at me. They need to get transplanted immediately. Same with the lemon balm back there. Starting to see some red discoloration in those leaves, which basically means it's time to get these transplanted into something bigger. They've been hanging out here. I'm probably going to say these are 5 weeks old, but clearly they're not happy with the current environment they're in. So I think transplanting to the bigger pots is definitely going to help out. And then if we go over here, some of these are 7 weeks old. We already did some transplants, which I'll show in a little bit, but what do we have here? We got some marjoram, some garlic chives. Look at this thyme right here. Oh God, this is gorgeous. It's funny. Sometimes you just really struggle with growing things. This year has been great for thyme. And then coming back here, look at these ashwagandha, astragalus plants that are growing. They just look great. We're already on our 3rd, 4th node there, and they are definitely ready to get transplanted. In the front here, we have some arnicas that are growing. And overall, things are looking really well. Some of the other things we started here, look at these catnips. They look great. Got some great color on these leaves. Those stems are nice and purple, ready to just be transplanted at this point. But overall, things are moving along really, really well here. So as I expected, last night it hit 29 degrees, so clearly very cold, but I think looking at the next 14 days, we are not going to get below freezing. There is a chance on Wednesday, but for the most part, we should be good to go. So this morning, what I did is I ended up doing more transplants. So I think we have about almost 40 trays, which I think is going to be over 700 plants we're going to bring out here today. So step one, all these pots that you see behind me, these are all going to get moved to the ground over here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring out those plants. And just to give you an idea how warm it is in here. So outside, I think it's reading about 45 degrees. In here, it was actually 90 degrees. So very, very warm. What we're going to do is we're going to get everything moved and go through this process. And then once that's done, start bringing out the plants and we'll be ready to go. Filled up the greenhouse, looking great. We did a quick watering on all these plants just to get them back out here. And here we are. It's gonna be fun checking out the weather the next, I don't know, week or two, just to make sure that we're staying above that freezing level. And then after that, honestly, it's just rinse and repeat, more of the same. More transplanting, more seeding, more getting to the point where it's almost time to be growing. I know we're still a couple months out here, but thanks for checking out the video. Hope to see you guys soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe.